Hi, elementary kids. It's great to be back. I had a great spring break. I had lots of things going on, lots of work around the house to do. So I'm sore and I'm tired and I'm ready to get back to a little bit of easy work, which is the art making. So, what you're going to find in our lessons this week is Mr. P will make sure he posts all his lessons on Clever like he always does. You'll find those assignments there. There'll be my video and there'll be a link to the web page. Now on the web page, you'll find that you can go and you can check out your little elementary button up here at top, and you can click on this arrow once you get to the elementary button and find the elementary button and you click on the arrow. Then you're gonna go up here, you're gonna go up and it's gonna click you over to your assignment. This is where this video is actually when you're doing this. So if you found this video, then you're doing a great job today. So our art project is going to rely on theme this week. We're always going to have a theme for the week. So the theme this week is going to be texture. We're going to talk about that texture a little bit, and we're going to talk about the project here in just a second, but I do want to remind you guys to send me a pic of any of your assignments that you complete, so I can go ahead and I can put them in the gallery on the website. I would love to put them in the gallery on the website. Now I'm also thinking about having a Google Hangout on Friday with all of our assignments. So if you did an assignment, you can come to the Google Hangout on Friday. I'll set up a time for that and I'll put the link in there, and then you can go and you can show me your pictures all at once. It'll be like a giant virtual art show. It's going to be pretty fun. I think that'll be a great thing to do. Now let's go back to our theme this week, which is texture. When we start talking about texture, we wonder a little bit about what texture is. Texture is how something kind of feels or how something looks like it feels. I think that's the best way to describe texture. Those are the two ways that artists use texture, is by giving us an actual feel, which we call actual texture. When we call this actual texture, it means I can put my hand on it and I can actually feel what's happening. Now, another way of creating texture is by creating an illusion of texture, or by making it look like it's texture. When we use that texture, we call that visual texture. That's where I'm using some of the elements of art's lines, shapes, value, anything to kind of give it that texture feel, to make it look like it has texture on the paper. Even though the paper is smooth, the lines make the texture work out. That's what we're going to talk about texture. Now there's a lot more to read about with texture on the website if you want to read a little bit more about it, but what I'm going to do is go straight into the assignment today. So straight into the assignment is going to be, first of all, I'm going to break it up into two categories. You're either a pre-kindergartner to a first grader, so pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, and first grade. You guys will be doing this first project. Second graders and fourth graders, you'll be doing the next project I talk about. So I'm going to do two how-tos in this one. Now, if you're really excited about art and you want to do it, do both projects. That's an okay thing to do as well. I would love to see all of your pictures, and if you want to jump in and try something new, let's go ahead and do that. So let's start with the pre-Ks through first grades project. And your project is going to be an actual texture project where we're going to be able to feel something. So the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to find yourself a cereal box. That's one thing you're going to need. You're going to need a cereal box or some kind of box like that that has that lighter cardboard that makes it easier to cut. Cereal boxes are great. I think I used a cracker box. You can use any kind of box you want that you have laying around or that's sitting ready to be recycled. That'll be a great thing to use. Now, when you get that cereal box, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to design a robot. Okay, so think about your robot a little bit. That's why we have our sketchbooks. Okay, we can use our sketchbooks, and as you can see, I went ahead and drew a little picture of my robot in my sketchbook. Okay, just a little plan to give me some ideas of what I needed to do or what I want to do. Now, you'll see my sketch is not going to look like my final project, because that's what sketches are. Sketches are our first ideas, and then we can start to tweak and change our project as we start to see how it's starting to look together. So anyways, this is my sketch. Once I had my sketch, I took my box and I took it apart very carefully, and then I cut out pieces. and shapes on the cardboard. So the first thing I did was I took a big piece of cardboard like this and I laid it down. Then I started cutting out smaller shapes and putting them in. Now I drew some shapes. You can draw shapes, you can just cut them freehand if you'd like to, so you'll definitely need your scissors for this one. Now make sure you got mom and dad's permission to be using the scissors before you get started on that. So I went ahead and cut out some shapes with my scissors on this cardboard and started laying down pieces to create my robot. Now, when I did my robot, I also used a couple different tools. You may not have these, but they work out pretty nicely. I've got my hole punchers. My hole punchers make great eyes or buttons, so I can pop through the cardboard with the hole punchers, and I can use those to create some things. You can also change it up a little bit. When I was taking apart my box, some of my cardboard kind of peeled in little layers, and it created a nice fuzzy texture. We're gonna experiment and see if that shows up on the next step. So once I got all my pieces cut out, I went ahead and glued them all onto my big piece of cardboard. So I've got this little, what we're gonna call a plate today. All right, this is our plate of our robot. Now you'll notice I can rub up and down, I can feel the actual texture on those things. So that's a really nice way of doing that. Once you get this finished, if you want to glue it into your sketchbook, you're more than welcome to glue it into your sketchbook and keep it so you know where it is at all times. But I would also recommend getting a piece of paper and some crayons. Now, you can just use old crayons that you have laying around. I've got a jar of crayons that I always have for just such an occasion. So I took 2 crayons and I peeled the paper off them. Yes, Mr. P said you could peel the paper off. Go ahead and peel that paper off. You tell mom and dad that Mr. P said it's okay to peel the paper off crayons because we're actually going to use them in a different way. I'm going to take my piece of paper and I'm going to lay it on top of my plate. Now by holding it down and taking my crayon, and now don't use your crayon the regular way like you're writing with a pencil. You're going to use what I call the Polston pinch. So you're going to turn your crayon sideways and you're going to take your pinchy fingers and your pinch so you can rub on top of the paper with the cardboard underneath it. And when you do that, you can rub some different colors together and you've made a nice little print of your robot. And you can do this with all kinds of colors. You can do 100 of these, you can do 1,000 of these, you can do 2 of these, however many you want to do of these and hang them all up all over the place. But you've got your own robot rubbing after you're finished. That's why we call this thing a plate, is so that we can use it to print off of. That's just one of the terms that artists use. So pre-kindergartners through first graders, that is your assignment. If you are not a pre-kindergarten through first grader, you can also do this assignment too. If you're second grader, third grader, fourth grader, you can do this assignment too. I would love to see these assignments. But I also have a special sketchbook assignment for my second through fourth graders, and we're going to talk about that too. So we already talked about using actual texture. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about using a little visual texture. So we're going to try to use lines and shapes, and we're going to try to do something a little different right here. Okay, we're going to create an unusual texture drawing. So the first thing you need to do is on an empty piece of paper in your sketchbook is you need to go ahead and find an object to draw. Now look around for any kind of object that you can draw, just a normal object. It can be a stuffed animal, it can be a coffee cup, it can be anything like that. Once you have that object, you're going to draw that object, but you're going to give it an unusual texture. You use your pencils, your markers, your pens, whatever you have, and you're going to try to create an unusual texture on that. And I'll show you an example of that. Mr. P, in his sketchbook, drew a coffee cup, but I made my coffee cup into a hairy coffee cup. So I got this gross looking hairy coffee cup that I drew in my sketchbook. So second and fourth grade kids, that is your assignment, to find an object and give it an unusual texture. What if we took a stuffed animal and we used our pencil and some shading and maybe some dots with the pencil to create it, to make the stuffed animal look like it's made out of rock, or use some really smooth lines to make it look shiny, like it's made out of metal, like your stuffed animal's made out of metal. Use your imagination and come up with a great sketch in that. And remember, both projects, don't forget to send me a picture. I would love to see a picture of those. the last step during these themes. So I'll give 2 art assignments, and today, normally I would give 2 tech assignments, but I'm gonna have all the kids pre-K through 4 work on this one technology assignment this week, and that is to use the app Pencil Madness. All right, so if you go to pencilmadness.com, I think I have it over here, and I can show you real quick, maybe you can see it. If you go to pencilmadness.com, I'm going to click on it right here. There is going to be a little box that's going to pop up, and you have all kinds of little brushes down here that will give you texture. So you can click on a color. I'm just going to click black. You can take your brush, choose your brush, come through here, draw, and see what starts to happen, and see if you can draw yourself a nice texture design. So you're just going to experiment with this. You may come up with some cool pictures, and if you do, take a picture of your screen and share it with me. I am loving this little app. It's fun to play with, and you can sit and play with it for a long time. So those are assignments this week, Texture Week. We've got the assignments for the pre-kindergartners through first graders, and we got the assignments for the second graders through fourth graders. Enjoy those projects. Check the technology project out, and remember, I'll set up a Google Hangout so that you guys can show me your artwork this week. All right, keep checking the site daily for any updates or anything that I might want to put on there. I might put up some extra stuff, something I might see right away, just something to let you know. I will put all of those news or anything like that in the news category down here on the website. So I hope you guys have fun today and this week, and don't forget to send me pictures and let me know how everything's doing. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon.